Alright, what is up, folks? So, I've got a bunch of videos today and they're really interesting. The first is this one. This guy is a white Praveen Mohan. You guys have seen Praveen Mohan videos where he sees patterns in temple architecture and stuff and makes wild conclusions with it. This guy says the same thing, only he's an American saying all these things.
On my right, the Large Hadron Collider. What you are seeing is the prophetic fusion of art and science invented by the Indus Valley culture. That carving is on a ceiling, and in their land you will find many of these mysterious carvings that nobody can explain. That stone ball is a different stone.
I agree that there are many things that you can't explain, but just because that you can't jump to the conclusion, this extraordinary conclusion of, hey, they had some divine insight, they had some help from extraterrestrial beings. Although I've not explicitly heard him say this particular thing, I would assume he would make such conclusions, judging by the kind of conclusions I've seen him make. But fallacy-wise, these are basically all extraordinary claims he's making and providing no evidence for it. I will also say appeal to personal incredulity. He doesn't know how it's done, therefore it's probably something, something divine, some kind of supernatural explanation. That's what he's coming up with. And I will also add confirmation bias, because he's already biased to think these things are in a certain way. He believes in ideas that are supernatural. Supernatural intervention is something he believes in. If something lacks explanation, he's quick to jump to those conclusions, and he's confirming this bias that he already has, that such things have a supernatural explanation.
That is a stone chain. That's an iron pillar that hasn't rusted for 1,600 years. That temple is carved out of the side of a mountain. That temple is the most detailed thing I've ever seen. I showed you how they encoded the acoustic knowledge into their stone pillars. But those pillars also have gear ratios, like a transmission, with perfect...
Wait, what do you mean gear ratios? You cannot have gear ratios unless those gear ratios are somehow rotating and helping you in some kind of movement, helping transmit power to produce different velocities. Anyone who studied mechanical engineering would know this. Without that, please don't call them gear ratios. See, I would also mark this as false equivalence. He's finding all sorts of patterns and saying those have to be these things. So the modern versions of those patterns have reasoning behind them. The ancient ones, he's calling them, because visually they resemble these things in the modern world. He's saying, hey, these are these things.
Perfect symmetry. Some of them even spin. There are even some you can play like a musical instrument. Their architecture resembles modern...
How? This is semiconductors. These are transistors designed on silicon. How the hell do they resemble that? These are modern inventions. Why are you saying they resemble and making conclusions out of that?
An acoustic technology that has just recently been invented. The precision of their carvings rivals that of aerospace engineering. And instead of writing all this down, they encoded all of this knowledge about the physical world into their walls.
Please don't call it knowledge when you're the one making all sorts of wild conclusions.
We are still discovering secrets hidden in these temples to this day. Now, I don't know if their temples were particle accelerators.
For something to be a particle accelerator, it needs to be magnetic. It needs to apply force on charged particles that go in the circumference, the circle, whatever shape the accelerator is. How can you call this an accelerator if it structurally just resembles something you think is a particle accelerator, when it doesn't have anything magnetic, when it doesn't accelerate charged particles? Where are the particles coming from? I could say more, but yeah.
But there is a reason why there is a Shiva statue outside of CERN.
Yeah, it's because it was a gift from India, because metaphorically the cosmic dance of Shiva, or what is supposed to have taken place the beginning of the universe, which is again a metaphor, is what the CERN is doing. And India gave a gift, which is the Nataraj statue.
To my Indus friends in the East and the ones here in the States, happy Diwali. We appreciate the light.
Yeah, conspiracy theorist number one. Please don't listen to him. There was another video by him. When you see these things in the bio, immediately you should know that this is a conspiracy theory page. Base Forge US. Now this particular video has also circulated a lot. It's some people have sent it to me. I've not featured it in a video yet, but now is a good time.
This is granite carved to perfection. It requires a diamond tip drill bit, which they did not have 1,000 years ago. Now, a lot of people jump to ancient aliens or some conspiracy theory. Understanding their tech would be like trying to explain a cell phone 200 years ago.
Yeah, why are you belittling conspiracy theories when you yourself are a conspiracy theorist? See, I don't know. I don't know a lot about sculptures and carvings and stuff. I don't know if that requires a diamond tip drill bit, but I don't know the answer to how they were able to carve a hole inside a sculpture, all these things. But just because I don't know, I'm not going to conclude something has a supernatural explanation or some divine knowledge that the ancient people had. It's impossible to have knowledge unless you learn that from evidence. And when there's no evidence that these people knew these things, these are conclusions in thin air.
So I'm going to explain it with cymatics. If you follow me, you know that this is vibrating water on a speaker. It makes these cool patterns. But cymatics can decode everything you see. This is the Konark Sun Temple.
Yeah, please decode. What is the decoding that your cymatics gave you? What does it say about the Konark Sun Temple? Please decode. He's just throwing these words around. I will also mark word salad for what he's saying. I don't think I have word salad this time. But okay. But word salad, okay? That is what he's doing.
I think you know where I'm going with this.
Yeah, you're looking at these patterns, seeing the closest resemblance. You're calling out something like cymatics and saying that that's what this is.
Perfect. Let's take a look at the pillars. That is a sound wave, that is a sound wave, that's a 3D sound wave. Our culture is obsessed with the how they did it, but we got to look at the why they did it first. Another important concept, sound travels through the air in spheres. And if you take that sphere and you track it through time, it starts to look like these very
Yeah, approximate resemblance, you're gonna conclude that that is what it is.
complex pillars. This is one of our acoustic resonators that we use today.
Those are transistors. Those are designed semiconductor things on silicon. Okay, visually they might resemble this. How can you equate these two? I marked false equivalence, haven't I? Yep.
This is a Hindu temple. This is a high frequency oscillator. It's used to keep time in digital devices. If we go across the pond to India's neighbor, we come across...
This is literally something designed on silicon. Okay. And you're going to equate it with this temple. Good job.
this cool temple called Angkor Wat. Left is the sensor, right is the temple diagram for Angkor Wat. If you're like me, you grew up thinking that these were just myths used by religion to keep society under control.
The myths used by religion, one argument that the purpose of religion, according to a lot of people, is to keep societies under control. But okay, what are you saying?
You don't have the piece that connects it all.
You've got the piece, haven't you? And you understood everything. You've decoded everything. Please tell us that.
Your eyes to decode the manual and discover your purpose. Granted, it's pretty hard to edit.
Cool. Let's pick out another video from his page. I'm gonna close my eyes.
That is a freezing ball of water, and I'm going to use it to explain the entire planet. Now, this is very cool, but if you watch very carefully, there's a hidden code within these bubbles. That code is the key to how all things in nature operate, how we observe them. Let me explain. If we look at a freezing pond or a snowflake, they freeze the same way. At their core, they are scale invariant. It doesn't matter what size they are. If we put a bubble on a speaker, we can use that to explain how these clouds form on this mountain. If I change the frequency of that bubble, I can use it to explain these clouds. But this is only a small piece of the puzzle. I can also explain how the winds work on Earth, because Earth is a giant bubble that spins. When it spins, it creates these air currents. We can also see these in the ocean.
So far, what he says seems legit. Please let me know if you can spot problems in what he's saying, but where are you getting it, bro?
All of this works whether it's a bubble or the ocean. Scale invariant.
Are you just throwing around random words to make your ideas sound scientific? You cannot equate the ocean and a bubble. A bubble is a single membrane of liquid inside which there's air, outside of it there's air. In the ocean, it's a body of water, only outside there is air. So what is he trying to say by equating these?
Let's look at why. The interaction of these bubbles creates a pattern. If we take this bubble and then we draw more bubbles from the center of that bubble and keep going out, we get this particular shape.
That's not the reason for the angles in a snowflake or whatever, the water molecule is shaped like this. There are particular reasons like the free electron pairs on the oxygen that causes a particular bond angle with the hydrogen atoms, H2O. And that angle is what is responsible for the shape of a snowflake, not this bubble, whatever he's talking about, this shape of the bubbles.
This shape, we can create all shapes, but let's look at a hexagon. A hexagon we see in bubbles when they get smushed together. We also see this in molecules. Molecules form stuff that life can use to build more stuff. In the mineral kingdom, this is how lava pools and crystals form. They use this because it's very structurally sound. If crystals on an ice ball can teach you all of that, then maybe education should be a little more
He's looking at random patterns and associating with similar patterns he's seen somewhere else. That's what he's doing. That's all he's doing. I will end this video here and see you in the next one.